documentary about a musician named Wolfgang.
I just brought her out. She's good.
Is it the actual Wolfgang?
Something.
Wolfgang.
It's a music guy named Wolfgang.
Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart?
Wolfgang.
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 I like how everyone's slowly but surely getting tired of the Wolfgang. We need a counter. We need a counter of how many times this guy has said that man's name.
I will watch that documentary and tell you. Wolfgang. Wolfgang.
Wolfgang.
It's like twice a minute.
Yeah. Wolfgang.
Wolfgang.
Take a drink every time this guy says Wolfgang.
Dude, we'd all be in the hospital. Wolfgang. Like, we'd be dead.
Yogurt.
Wolfgang.
It's Travis in the background trying to catch him.
Okay.
It's how we summon each other.
It's how we say goodbye, how we greet each other. It's like aloha for Hawaiians.
I was diagnosed with rhabdomyolysis.
I was really hoping that person would say I was diagnosed with Wolfgang.
Wolfgang.
Stomach doesn't want to get out of bed. Same.
That's it. Well, yeah, look at price. Come with price on
Right? What?
What?
Did I hear that right?
I don't know what the fuck I heard.
I don't know if I heard that right, but all I heard was, what's the bright side of childhood cancer?
It's you, Wolfgang.
What are you talking
Let's
about?
just get it done.
It gives you Wolfgang.
Give me Wolfgang.
Strife is in the background having a straight up aneurysm because of how much he's been mentioned.
The Wolfgang is the new bird up. Learning how to use Unity. And now I have a new responsibility as to make a Wolfgang video game.
Perfect. Instead of like it just saying perfect, it just says
Wolfgang!
Wolfgang.
No, I need to name it something like The Legend of Wolfgang. Wolfgang never back down.
Never back down, never what?
No, my favorite is Wolfgang never back down to back down. New Overwatch show, Wolfgang.
What would his power be?
Since he's a musician, he'd be kind of like Lucio, I guess. Use music.
Ah.
Wolfgang.
He would have an axe guitar. No.
Cool.
Oh my god, he would be exactly like Jack Black in what's that name? What's that video game?
The Minecraft movie?
No, not the Minecraft.
Oh,
Brutal Legend.
yeah.
His ultimate would be like a group effect thing of where he just does the devil horns with his hands and he just headbangs.
That's kind of cool, actually. And everyone gets stunned for like a hot minute.
And then your party gets a buff.
Wolfgang.
Like Wolfgang Van Halen, Wolfgang Van Halen, Wolfgang Van Halen, Wolfgang was Wolfgang to Wolfgang transitioned, Wolfgang's the Wolfgang series of guitars, Wolfgang welcomed Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Wolfgang now leads his own project, Wolfgang Van Halen, Wolfgang for Wolfgang's during live shows. Wolfgang occasionally finds Wolfgang explained his stance. Wolfgang's Wolfgang Van Halen. Wolfgang will be playing drums, maybe some bass. Wolfgang's involvement. Wolfgang's with Wolfgang bring Wolfgang's Wolfgang's ability to Wolfgang shared. Wolfgang explained, allowing them to connect with Wolfgang's music. Wolfgang Van Halen's Wolfgang when Wolfgang Van Halen or Wolfgang's out Wolfgang as Wolfgang Van Halen Wolfgang Van Halen's Wolfgang recalled. Wolfgang revealed. Wolfgang explained. Wolfgang said. Wolfgang found Wolfgang continued. Wolfgang Van Halen Wolfgang's life. Wolfgang Van Halen Wolfgang